What's up, guys? If you clicked on this video, you read the title. I had the coronavirus. This is not a joke. This is not some clickbait situation. This is something that really happened, and I thought it would be a good idea to just share my experience and symptoms with everybody out there for a number of different reasons. Kind of just talk about the story of how I learned about it, and kind of just, like I said, the symptoms and what's been going on and what doctors are saying, and kind of just a different perspective on things. I know I saw some posts on social media the other day where people were asking, like, oh, do you know someone that's been affected by this or stuff like that? And there's like 100 responses, and like one person said they knew someone with it. So at least people in my circle will know someone that's got it, and kind of know some of the symptoms or things that are experienced from the situation. So I'm going to start off by saying, I was one of those people that I have an underlying health condition, so getting the coronavirus was something that was kind of scary to me. I was constantly washing my hands. Christina would laugh at me because I have 3 bottles of hand sanitizer in my car. We got some giant, industrial sized ones throughout the house, and just constantly sanitizing my hands and wiping things down and being extra cautious, trying to avoid getting, this virus. So, and then on top of that, I took the social distancing stuff pretty seriously. Aside from that last video you saw of us going out that last weekend before things got super serious. If you watched our last video where we went to Disneyland and then Alex's house and the beach and all that, we posted that video recently, but that was actually filmed 3-4 weeks ago. So that was before things got really crazy to where they are now in the world. Like I said, yeah, I was extra cautious, washing hands, not going out unless I needed to, only going out to get food or groceries and stuff like that. With my underlying health stuff, you hear all these things about that's the highest rate of people that aren't able to overcome it, was the people that have underlying health conditions. And when all this news broke and stuff like that, I was talking to people, and I truly was scared to get it. Whole family is scared for me to get it because a couple of years ago I got really sick just from the normal flu, and just all the reports online and everything that goes on or is reported to be going on with the coronavirus is just really scary, because once you get it, like it's a crapshoot. You don't know what's going to happen. So I was very, like I said, cautious and trying to wash my hands and do everything the right way. So as far as how we think we got it, really one of 2 possible things. Possible way number 1 is that Christina's brother Alex actually had the coronavirus. Like you saw in the last video where we got that phone call where he was at the urgent care. It's possible that he had it and we got it from him. He went to the doctor a few times that week, to the urgent care, and they told him he didn't have it. They told him it was just pneumonia. They did not test him and basically told him, don't worry about it, you don't have it. But it's totally possible that he was misdiagnosed. This, like I said, this was before a lot more information came out, and now one of the common things is this virus kind of turns into pneumonia-like symptoms. So it's totally within reason that he possibly had it, and we contracted it from him, hanging out with him over that one weekend where we were just trying to get do a little getaway and kind of just hang out with people we know but still stay isolated. So it's possible we got it there. The other possibility, and the one that actually kind of put us into this lockdown mode, was Christina's mom works at the airport, and her partner went out sick for a few days, and then come to find out that someone that she works closely with at work, 3 days a week on her shift, tested positive actually. So that person is a confirmed positive as part of the numbers you see online. So that's kind of where all this came about. Shoot, it was like 2 weeks ago or last week, I don't know. But time's just totally lost right now. Christina's mom came home from work and basically got a phone call at night that someone that she had been working with was basically getting tested for coronavirus. They didn't know what was going on. You know, still, you know, the job was saying, stay, you know, keep normal, still show up to work tomorrow. But we just want to make you aware that so-and-so is getting checked out, blah, 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 blah. All right, so her mom goes to work the next day, and then she comes home like really, really early in the morning, and basically says, my work sent me home. So-and-so tested positive, and my doctor thinks that I have it. So they sent her home. Around this time, I'm gonna go through my symptoms in a little bit, but we were out getting groceries at Target. I didn't go out of the car, like I said, I was practicing, you know, staying away from people, but I drove Christina there, just, you know, with the kids and stuff. And I had reached out to my doctor just because, like I said, I'm, you know, scared because of the my underlying conditions. And then my doctor got back to me, and he could basically hear that I was in the car. I was going over my symptoms with him, and he said, you know, go home now. So, you know, basically as soon as Christina was done, you know, getting some groceries, we knew we were gonna be locked down for a little bit, and then we had to go home and kind of been locked inside ever since, really. So my first doctor called and basically said, you know, stay home. And then you know, you ask the doctor questions as far as like, should I be staying away from people and this and that, and you know, my wife and kids, blah blah blah. And you know, Doctor 1 says, you guys are all in the same house, everyone's gonna get it anyway, just make sure you guys aren't going out in the public, this and that, blah 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 blah. I was like, you know, okay, cool, whatever. So we're all just, you know, mingling in the house and, you know, just watching Netflix and Disney Plus and all that good stuff. And then the next morning, my GI doctor called, because I had reached out to her too, just because of the, you know, underlying condition. And her stance was completely different from my like normal doctor that called the day before. She told me that me specifically, since I actually had more present symptoms, so I had to be away from Christina and the kids. Basically, I was in this room, locked away in this room. And Kim set the PS4 up, just kind of locked away in here for days, really. And she told me that I needed to be away from my family, basically, until symptoms went away. So that was, you know, days of basically being a prisoner of this room. You know, my only friend is this little turtle guy. That was my only real friend for the time that I was locked away in the room. You know, just doing some work on my computer, playing some video games, watching some shows on Netflix. As far as like symptoms and what I'm feeling and what I went through and all that kind of stuff, I know obviously I'm feeling a little bit better now since I'm sitting here making this video. But now that I've kind of laid the, I don't know, given some background of the whole story and stuff, I'll lay the symptoms out and you'll kind of see how everything went. The first 3 days of, just looking back on what is now I would consider the first 3 days, I just had like a little tickle in my throat. Nothing super serious. You know, every morning, for years, every morning when I wake up, I got a little bit of a sore throat and a cough. That's just like normal everyday stuff for me though. You know, I wake up and clear my throat and cough, got a little tickle there. And then on what I would call day 2 or day 3 of this, we got away from the city and went out to Christina's mom's farm and property out in Temecula. And on the way home, I told Christina, I said, oh, you know, I felt a little, you know, my throat felt a little weird, and I had a runny nose and stuff like that, but, you know, we were out in the dirt all day. So we kind of just attributed it to like allergies. You know, and I'd been doing research and kind of being overly paranoid about this whole thing. Looking at symptoms, tracking like every single symptom I had, just, you know, going online and reading all these articles and trying to figure out, you know, I didn't have the fever, so, you know, I definitely don't have coronavirus. You track that stuff and you just like, you know, okay, cool, like I don't have the main ones, like, you know, I don't have it, it's cool. So that went on for a couple days. Then comes the day, what I would call day 4 or 5. That's the day that Christina's mom told us that someone at her work was getting tested for that she had been in close contact with, and she told us at the end of this day. Now, my little throat tickle thing had been going on. You know, it would happen in the morning. It'd be there a little bit during the day, and then at night. It wasn't like a constant thing. And I didn't, you know, like I said, I was tracking symptoms. I didn't have the major symptoms that you read about online. That night, after her mom told us, my hands and feet were really cold when I was trying to go to bed, and I was kind of, you know, some soft chills or shivers, like very, very mild. I've had severe ones in the past when I've been sick before, like with really bad flus and stuff, but this was, you know, really, really light. So I don't really think too much of it. Just my hands and feet were a little bit cold, nothing super major or anything like that. But just looking back on it, you know, as I've gone down the road, it's just more symptoms slowly ramping up to the real deal. The next day I woke up, I felt okay. Once again, just a little sore throat, runny nose type stuff. As the day went along, in the morning, Christina's mom came home. Once again, this is the day after she had told us about her possible coworker getting tested. Her mom got sent home from work. It got confirmed that someone that she had worked in close proximity to tested positive for the virus. So they sent her home. She was in contact with her doctors because she had been feeling some symptoms. Her doctor told her go home, self-isolate for, you know, her doctor told her 14 days from when she was initially exposed to the person with the virus. So she went home and self-isolated. We were out doing our groceries and stuff like that, and that's when my doctor called me back and basically went over the symptoms with me and told me that I, you know, go home now. But that night when we got home, that's when, you know, I still had the sore throat and stuff, but I had a really big, like, humongous headache that wouldn't go away. That night, my hands and feet were very cold. I was shivering uncontrollably and, you know, got the chills. My fever rose to 102 degrees, severe body aches, kind of some stomach flu symptoms that would go along with that. Yeah, so that was like, oh crap, this is probably what I got. And this is when it started to get kind of scary because you don't know what it's going to snowball into. Is this going to, you know, get to the lungs? Because, you know, that's where the real issue is from what you read online. You know, it gets in the lungs and you basically can't breathe in the ventilators and all that good stuff. So I messaged my GI doctor because of my underlying condition. So the next morning, my GI doctor calls me and she goes over my symptoms with me, and she goes, all right. And I told her the other doctor talked to me the day before, and, you know, basically acting and treating myself as, you know, I've got coronavirus, lock in your house. She's basically having me, you know, okay, so we're gonna treat you as if you have the coronavirus. You know, you're taking all the necessary precautions, blah, 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 blah. She's going through them with me. And then she is telling me that she's the one that told me that I need to be away from Christina and the kids. The other doctor said you're all gonna get it anyway because you're in the house. She goes, no, no, no. Like, you need to make sure that you're self-isolated away from them. When she said that, that's kind of when I came to this room after that phone call, kind of got my situation set up here. That's when things got a little bit more serious as far as, you know, staying away from the family and a lot of stuff and really tracking symptoms. So that, you know, that one really bad night of the headache, the body aches, the fever, you know, 102 fever and all that. The next day I kind of woke up, headache went away. That's the morning that the doctor called. Headache went away. It was kind of just like a foggy headache, so it wasn't a big massive headache, kind of just a foggy headache, or I don't know how to explain, just like I was in a daze, and that headache lasted a couple days. You know, and then the body aches were still there, so that another bad day of really bad body ache and some chills and shivering at night, and then it slowly kind of lessened after about a week, you know, from day 7 of the initial, looking back on what I believe, you know, the first symptoms were. So, you know, day 7 through 10, the symptoms kind of just slowly dissipated, and then basically on day 11, around day 11, I would say pretty much all my symptoms went away. Like currently still, like I still got like a little bit of runny nose, maybe it's allergies, I don't know. And then my throat hurts, you know, a little cough here or there still. But you know, the sad thing is that I'll never really know if this was actually the coronavirus. You know, the doctors wouldn't test me, didn't test my mother-in-law. Basically just told us to assume that we have it just because of the exposure that we had to it, and we didn't have you know the life or death symptoms. You know, they basically say if you think you have it, just stay home unless it gets really bad and you can't breathe and you know start to feel it in your chest. So like when you see the numbers on TV or the news or whatever, there's, you know, the number of cases is actually going to be really, you know, way higher than what's being reported, just because those numbers that are reported on TV and the internet and this and that, those are like confirmed positives. You know, those are people who took the test and the results came back positive. You know, there's got to be thousands and thousands of people in the US, maybe even hundreds of thousands of people that have symptoms that would test positive or, you know, have it, that there's just not enough tests to waste it on someone who's not showing those progressive symptoms that, you know, could eventually lead to someone being hospitalized. What the doctor told me was, unless you know, feel that you're going to require a hospital stay, you need to just stay at home, stay in an isolated room by yourself, away from your wife and kids. I'm not really going to know if I actually had it or not. They just kind of treated me and told me to assume that I did have it. But that's kind of scary in a way, because from what I hear is, you know, once you get it, you can't get it again. And as I'm here on day, you know, 13 or 14 of experiencing all this stuff, if I still have that worry, like, was this not it, you know, and is the information right or wrong? You know, it's just something to think about. But is that initial scare, is like, am I over the hump? Do I not need to worry about myself as much because, you know, I'm past that? Or is this, you know, was this just some weird other type of virus that has very similar symptoms to the coronavirus? And you know, I'll just never know. All right, so yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and close the video here. You know, this wasn't one of those normal videos we do where we're tracking the family, having fun and that. It was just kind of sharing an experience with you guys. My intention wasn't, you know, to scare anyone or anything like that. I just wanted, like I said, just share my experience with people. As I stated earlier in the video, there's, you know, people that, or lots of people who don't know anyone or that's been affected or has this virus. So I thought sharing my experience might give some insight into what's going on, and you know, raise some sort of awareness behind like the numbers that are being reported. Like I said, there's, you know, I think right now the number is over 1 million cases globally of people that are confirmed positives, and like, you know, there's thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of cases here in the US that aren't being reported just because the symptoms aren't really super severe. And, you know, and that's not even talking about, you know, when the doctors are talking to me about staying home, you know, they didn't give me a number, but there's people walking around the streets right now that are, you know, shopping at Target or CVS or Albertsons, whatever. People going to grocery stores that, you know, they're showing 0 symptoms, but they're carrying the virus and spreading the virus. So, you know, until there's a way to test everyone, like, you just gotta assume the numbers on TV are way, way below what, you know, those numbers being reported are way below what the reality is, just because of the number of tests and people not getting tested. And, you know, even when people are sick, if their symptoms aren't severe enough, they're not gonna, you know, waste a test on someone who's not in that dire situation, because they need to save those tests for the people that are their condition's a little bit more serious when they go to the hospital. I mean, having said that, the death rate, when you take into account there's going to be hundreds of thousands of people, of people that have the virus, the death rate percentage is actually going to be lower than what's being reported, because there's hundreds of thousands of more cases. So you'd have to think that the death rate would be lower, because, you know, if someone dies from coronavirus, they know that, you know, that number is not necessarily going to change. It's the other people, the people that are, you know, recovered or haven't been diagnosed, that, you know, that number is going to be way higher. So the percentage of deaths would go down. Yeah, so I just wanted to, like I said, share symptoms, raise some awareness around the numbers that are being reported. And then also wanted to just, you know, thank all the healthcare workers and that are kind of, you know, on the front lines battling this thing, putting their own health at risk and their families and all that stuff that they have to deal with to try and keep, you know, the world, get it back to being a safe place and a place that we could live versus, you know, being stuck at home. And so, yeah, so, you know, hats off to the healthcare workers. Want to thank them, thank all the people that work at the, you know, essential businesses, people that work at the grocery stores, you know, food places and stuff like that. You know, just kind of making the world somewhat run and make things livable versus being, you know, locked down in a house. And so that's basically it. Hopefully you've gained some sort of insight into what it was like, and if you're feeling any symptoms or something like that, you know, definitely just it's, you know, better safe than sorry. Give your doctor a call. Stay at home, you know, unless you need to go to the grocery store or, you know, something like that. When you do, like, highly recommend wearing a mask and gloves and all that. Protect yourself, protect your family, be safe. All right, everyone wants to get back to normal and start doing things the right way. Do the best you can to enjoy the time with your family while you're stuck inside, but, you know, do what you need to do to do your little part to get the world back on track, and trust that the people, the medical people and the government, all that kind of stuff, are going to do what they can to minimize things and get us back to normal. So anyways, so thanks for watching the video, and I will talk to you guys soon. Peace.